everyone, and welcome to your library class for this week. So I know that you guys all just came from science class, where you guys are learning all about space this month. You guys are learning about the Mars and the planets and the Milky Way and the sun and the stars and the moon and the solar system and black holes. But you guys should also know that even though you guys are going to learn a lot about space, there's still so much that you won't learn because we just don't know it. And this isn't a bad thing. This is actually a really great opportunity for writers and for readers, because it means that writers get to imagine what's out there in space and that you get to read about it. So today we're going to take a little journey around the universe, but because of the power of reading to take you away to new worlds, we get to stay right here in the library. But actually, for our first book, we don't have to journey very far. Our first book takes place on Earth, but it's not an Earth like anything that you've lived on. On this Earth, octopuses talk and there are no humans to be found, and having the sweetest, lowest, and slowest ride on the block means everything. Here, you've got to have a car that goes bajito y suavecito, low and slow. You want a lowrider. So this is Lowriders in Space, which is a graphic novel written by Cathy and illustrated by Raul III. And this is the first in a series, so if you like it, you can read more. You've got it here in the library. Elario Malaria, Flapjack Octopus, and Lupe Impala work at the best car dealership in their barrio, or neighborhood. But they dream of more. They dream of buying their own garage one day and being their own bosses. Unfortunately, buying a garage is really expensive, no matter what planet you live on. But there might be hope for them yet, because if they can win the Universal Car Competition, they will win enough cash to buy their own garage. The only problem is, obviously, if they want to win the car competition, they need a great looking car, and they need a car that goes bajito y suavecito, low and slow. But right now, they have a car, and they know that it could be a great car, a great lowrider, but right now it doesn't go low and slow. It doesn't go at all. It won't start. So if they want to turn this car into a winning car, they're going to need to pull out all the stops. And they can't do that on Earth. If they're going to pull out all the stops, they've got to go to space. So read Lowriders in Space and find out how Elario Malaria, Flapjack Octopus, and Lupe Impala use the Milky Way and Mars and Venus and the whole solar system to create a winning car. Okay, so for our next book, we're leaving Earth, but we're going to a planet that I know you guys have all heard of. This is Last Day on Mars by Emerson, and it's the first in the Chronicle of the Dark Star series. Okay, so since you're learning about space and science class, you might have learned that one day the sun is going to explode. But fortunately for us, that's not going to happen for thousands and thousands of years. But in Last Day on Mars, the sun isn't going to explode in thousands and thousands of years. It's already exploded, and it's taken Earth with it. Fortunately, humanity has relocated to Mars, so they haven't all died out. But that's only a temporary solution, because eventually Mars is going to explode too. So humanity's got to find another home out of this whole solar system if they want to survive. And humanity's actually doing pretty okay. They found a new home, and a lot of people have started to move there. They've boarded the spaceships. But Liam Saunders Chang isn't on the spaceships. He's actually one of the last people on Mars, because his family is racing to create terraforming technology that will actually allow humans to settle on their new planet and get off the spaceships. But Liam's parents are finally finished with their work, so they're ready to leave. Everyone is ready to leave Mars. It's the last day on Mars. Except when everybody gets ready to go, something goes wrong. And Liam and his friend Phoebe are all left behind. So they're stuck on Mars alone without any adult help, which is pretty scary and a big mistake, but it actually turns out that it might have been a good thing, because what Liam and Phoebe discover when they're left behind on Mars could save humanity from total destruction, and it also could change everything that everyone thinks that they know about the universe. So read Last Day on Mars and follow along with Liam and Phoebe's adventures as they try to make sure that humanity's last day on Mars isn't humanity's last day, period. All right, so our next book is We Are Not From Here by Geoff Rodkey, and this book actually has a pretty similar setup to Last Day on Mars. humanity has had to leave Earth because it's no longer inhabitable, and they've relocated to Mars while they look for a new home. And we're not from here. Humanity actually had a really hard time finding a new home, but finally they found a new home. The people of the planet Choom have agreed to let humanity settle there. So humanity is saved. It's not going to be easy getting to Choom. It's going to be a 20-year journey, and they've all got to go into cryosleep for the whole time. But humanity is just relieved to have a new home. But when humanity arrives on Choom and when they wake up to some really bad news. In the 20 years that humanity has been asleep, the people of Choom have changed their mind about humanity. They're not feeling so welcoming anymore. They're ready to just turn humanity away, and that means that humanity is all going to die in their spaceship. But after humanity pleads their case, the people of Choom agree to a compromise. They will let humanity bring one family to settle on Choom, just one. And this family will be humanity's representative. And if the people of Choom like the family, they'll let the rest of humanity settle on Choom. So Lon's family is the one chosen to settle on Choom. And settling on Choom is a pretty overwhelming experience. Like, the aliens there all look like giant mosquitoes, and they express their emotions through smell. So when they're angry, they smell like gasoline. And when they're afraid, they smell like rotting eggs. But you can't let them know that you're disturbed by the smell because that's really rude, and then they'll get upset. And they've all got to make sure that they don't upset the people of Choom. They can't upset their new classmates. They can't upset teachers. They can't upset people on the streets, because they have to make sure that these people like them. Because if they don't like them, then humanity won't be allowed to settle on Choom, and humanity will die out. So find out if Lon can fit in a new school and get new grades and make friends and save humanity in the process in We're Not From Here by Geoff Rodkey. All right, so our next book is about a really famous person, someone I know you've heard of. You might not have heard about her in science class, but I'm pretty sure you've heard about her in history class. This is Cleopatra in Space, and it's a graphic novel series by Machiak, and this first book is called Target Practice. Hi, I'm Cleopatra. One day, I was, kind of avoiding my math homework, goofing around with the pyramids, and I went inside one of the pyramids, even though I know I'm not supposed to do that. And then there was this weird glowing tablet in there, and I touched it, even though my friend told me not to, and then something crazy happened. I was sucked through a portal onto a whole new planet, and oh my God, things are crazy here. I was a pretty big deal back on my own planet. I was the heir to an empire, but that's nothing compared to here. Here they think I'm some kind of god. They think that I'm the savior of the galaxy. They think that I'm prophesied to defeat this evil guy named Zeus Octavian, and I'm not sure that I believe that. That's a lot to take in, but even though that's all pretty overwhelming and weird, I'm still starting to like it here. I have a really nice roommate named Tequila, and she's got a really cool friend named Brian, and I like some of my classes. I especially like combat training, which is a total blast, both because it's fun and because I get to use a blaster gun. But, not everything is great about life here. I really wish that I didn't have to go to math class, but I have to go to math class because if I skip it, I have to go to detention. And if I go to detention, then I can't hang out with my friends, and I can't go to combat training. And, I really wish that I could have left detention and math class behind on Earth. But I guess that you can't have everything, even when you are a queen and the supposed savior of the galaxy. So you can follow along with Cleopatra as she maybe saves the galaxy in her space adventures, and as she just goes to school and hangs out with her friends in Cleopatra in Space. All right, so in our first 4 books, we have followed characters from Earth, even though these books haven't all been set on Earth, but that is all over now. For our next book, all of the characters lived a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That's right. This book is set in the Star Wars universe. This is The Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu. The crew of the Wayward Current is almost at the end of their 6-week journey to Canto Bight. And at the beginning of the journey, they were all having fun. They were excited. They're all pretty young, and they were excited to see the galaxy. But it's been a long 6 weeks. Everybody's feeling bored. So the people on the Wayward Current, which this is Star Wars, so it's not just people. There are droids and aliens and reptilian and bird-like creatures. They all decide that they're going to pass the time by telling some stories. And who better to tell stories about than the most famous man in the whole galaxy, Luke Skywalker. So since we've got such an interesting assortment of people on the Wayward Current, we get a really interesting collection of stories in the legend of Luke Skywalker. We hear from a conspiracy theorist who says that Luke Skywalker's name was not Luke Skywalker. His real name was Luke Clodplotter, and he was a total idiot, and all of his supposed famous exploits are lies. You know, he didn't destroy the Death Star, he didn't defeat the Empire, it was all lies from the rebellion. And we hear from a imperial soldier, a soldier of the Empire, who says that Luke was this horrible, terrifying man who terrorized people and tore Star Destroyers out of the sky with his bare hands. And we hear from a girl who says that Luke just taught her how to fish. And we even hear from a droid who says that Luke freed him from slavery. So some of these stories sound true, some of them not so much, but you can read the Legends of Luke Skywalker, and that way you can decide for yourself which stories you believe. Okay, so if you're interested in myths and legends from the Star Wars universe, you might be interested in myths and legends from here on Earth. And if that's the case, you're in luck, because our last book is Dragon Pearl by Yoon Lee. And this book is part of the Rick Riordan Presents series, which tells stories based on myths and legends from all around the world. And this story is based on Korean folklore, even though it's set in space, and it's a really fun space adventure. 13-year-old Min is a fox spirit. That means that she's a shapeshifter. She can shapeshift into anything she wants. Obviously, she can turn into a fox, but she can turn into any other animal. She can impersonate one of her cousins. She can even turn into inanimate objects, like she can impersonate her own dining table. But, you know, that sounds really fun, but it's not actually that fun. Min lives in the middle of nowhere on a farm, and she doesn't really get to do much of anything most of the time besides do chores for her mom. But that all changes one day when a representative from the galactic government shows up with terrible news. He says that Min's brother is missing, and worse, he says that Min's brother has deserted his position in the Space Forces. And even worse than that, they think that he deserted his position because he stole the priceless Dragon Pearl, which is this object that has the power to terraform worlds and which could shift the balance of power in the whole galaxy. So stealing it is a big deal. Min's brother is in a lot of trouble. But Min thinks that there's something deeper going on here because she knows her brother. She knows that her brother would never desert his position. So she thinks that something bigger is happening. Someone wants something with the Dragon Pearl. So Min decides that to save her brother and to maybe save the galaxy, she's got to run away from home. And not only will she get to save the galaxy and her brother if she runs away from home, she's going to get the opportunity to finally really explore her powers. So follow along with Min as she transforms into all kinds of cool stuff and as she encounters everything the galaxy has to offer, including pirates and ghosts and dragons and tigers and more in Dragon Pearl by Yoon Lee. So I hope you guys have enjoyed our little journey around the universe here in the library. All of these books are available to check out, and if you guys want to read some other books about space or some nonfiction about space, you can always ask me. So you guys are free to read or check out books, and I'm always here if you need me.